Hello ladies and gents, now we've finished at the church. Hope you enjoyed that one. I want to take you into down to a bit of London's industrial lost Docklands past. Newcastle Dock, which of course is no longer a dock anymore, but there are some remnants of it that remain. Newcastle Dock was built through the late 1840s as part of Sir William Cubitt's development of Cubitt town. A draw dock is basically where barges and the smaller ships, rather than pulling up to a quayside and unloading, would have been drawn up onto the shore, unloaded and then gone back out with high tide again. This encompasses a few bits of history really. The only remnants of the old dock are the 4 original bollards, and in this one, and I have filmed this bit already, in this one we capture a fairly rare event of operations of a newly fitted out and launched Royal Navy ship. That will be right at the end, because I always do my walk around beforehand, you see, and I was having a smoke and that one came along. So there we are. These bollards may not look like much, they are just bollards, but they're the original bollards from the original draw dock, so they still remain. And these stones here, and what I'm going to show you in a minute, bear those stones in mind, because we'll go over to our history section first, or in a sec. Over here, look, you see they have the old winching device for drawing the ships in. It's another one of the old bollards. And another one over there. This was put in as an art installation in the 90s when all this housing development thing was built, because that swept, well, the war, and then the housing development swept away what was left of the old draw dock. I walk through history of the Isle of Dogs, Cubitt town. Pause to read any of the descriptions if you want to. And you'll recognise that image from our church one if you watch the church visit. Here we see here the Newcastle Draw Dock in 1984, literally all the last remnants of it that remained, which is was just over there. And there is the man himself. He does feature more properly or prominently in some in an image in my church video. Over here are the remnants, and those stones that I said you to bear in mind are the remnants of a lost chapel that was destroyed in the Second World War. We shall go over here and have a look, then we'll get some nice river views. These stones are what remain of the old chapel, re-erected in 1882 by F.W. Cunning, builder, and tucked away round here. They were before this new development went up, they were originally, or say new, 1990s, they were originally set into the floor, these stones. This stone was laid by J.W. Westwood Jr. Esquire, July the 21st, 1862. The Reverend Thomas Penrose, Superintendent Minister, relayed by Mrs. F. Thorne. May the 18th, 1905. This stone was placed by J.D.A. Samuda Esquire, MP, August 31st, 1878, to commemorate the enlargement of this chapel. Reverend Richard S. Blair, Superintendent Minister, relayed by Mrs. T. Thorne, May the 18th, 1905. And lastly, to the glory of God, this stone was laid by J. Cook Esquire of Cubitt Town, May the 19th, 1905. Ministers Reverend F. Pickett and Reverend F. S. Clullow. So yeah, that's basically all the last remnants that remain of the old chapel that was here. It was bombed in the Second World War. And as I said, a draw dock is where the boats are drawn up onto the shore and unloaded, rather than pulling up to a quayside and being unloaded with cranes and things like that. There will be historical pictures at the end, and these blocks are an art installation that were installed in the mid to late 1990s, part of the redevelopment of this area, all this lot. Now we're going to have a walk down here quickly. And this is where the boats would have been drawn up, boats and barges drawn up onto the docks. In the very early days it was done with shire horses, and then it was done with steam winches, and then winched up, and this one kept going really more or less until the war, and then the whole area was just bombed. Really, how the church survived I don't know, because this area copped a lot of bombing. The Germans knew where they were trying to hit. As we saw inside the church, the back side of the church where the high altar is, all its original glass was destroyed and blown out. There's only some few remnants of stained glass original that survives inside the church. But yeah, and what the war didn't destroy, the modern housing developments did. Now we're going to get our riverside views, and towards the end part of our tour we'll be taking in a surviving 1850s pub, more or less original exterior looking, well, original as it can be, and the interior is renovated or modernised. They have to change with the times, so it's nice that one survived. When we get over here, we'll get some decent-ish views. The building that you're looking at there is the old power station. There are a couple of buildings over here that I have yet to check out and must check out. So when I first started the page, I foolishly thought, oh, I'll cover all of London's history in a year or two. Ooh, no, definitely not. The old Greenwich Naval Hospital and College there. Cutty Sark, just there. That's the Trafalgar. It's a pub I've yet to check out. And the other building I want to check out is this one. It looks like a church, doesn't it? So that's one I shall check out. The old power station there. We're just going to walk up to this promontory point here, get some views, and then you'll join me back at Newcastle Dry Dock, and we'll be off to our pub, which I've already filmed. See, I often do it this way. I have my walk around first to see and find the interesting points, because if you look up Newcastle Dry Dock online, it will tell you that the original stones, the three that we saw, are set into the floor, which they're not. They're set into the wall. So had I just come here blind, I wouldn't have known what I was doing or where they were. There we are. You can just see the O2, or the Millennium Dome, as I always call it. To my generation, it will probably forever be known as the Millennium Dome. Modern Wharf. See, the riverside has always been a changing area, right from its early startings really, and to the Industrial Revolution. Since then it's always changed a pace. It never seems to stay the same. Obviously both world wars, because there were bombing raids in the First World War, not to the extent of the Second World War, but yeah, both world wars blew a lot of the docks away because that's what they were aiming for, the industry. Yeah, I must go over that side and go through this housing estate and check out, because I've still got the Greenwich Observatory to do. I've not covered that yet. The Painted Hall, part of the old Greenwich Naval College, that's an amazing one which I'm still yet to cover as well. So this is what I say, there's so much to cover. There's the Trafalgar. I've discovered with pubs, go and do them when the weather's shitty. People don't go to the pubs as much then. There we are. Just to the dome of the Greenwich Foot Tunnel, and that's as far as we can see. So Anderson something a little bit well known, the Cutty Sark. You can see the masts and that. Hope you're all finding this interesting. Join me back at Newcastle Dry Dock and then we'll be off into our pub. But before we go to back to Newcastle Dry Dock, catch the Edwardian. I've seen this one before. It's one of the old steamship type pleasure cruisers. They do tours and such like up and down the river. And off she goes downriver towards Tower Bridge. Now you'll join, unless we find anything else interesting going up or downriver, you'll join me back at Newcastle Dry Dock for something pretty interesting. Hello ladies and gents, and we're back at Newcastle Dry Dock, and as I said to you, something a little bit special. The video or snippet of a video you're going to see in a minute. K60 RAF Proteus is a ship of the Royal Fleet Auxiliary within His Majesty's Naval Service of the United Kingdom, acquired in 2023. The ship entered dry dock at Canmore Laird for modification into multi-role ocean surveillance ship. She formally enters service as of October 2023, and what we capture in a minute is going out. She was originally launched on the 18th of March 2017 at a cost of £62 million. She is 600 tonnes and her length is 321 foot and 10 inches. Port of registry, Majuro. So yeah, join me for that little snippet now. Good Lord, look at that going by. I've not started my filming for this one yet, but I've got to include this. Why, bless my soul, I've never seen one quite so large. Ah, there we are. That was just a little clip on to the end of the video of Newcastle Dry Dock. Hope you all enjoyed that one. Take care all. Thank you for watching. And that is of course not the end of the video yet. We're not done yet, but we're back at Newcastle Dry Dock. I hope you all found that little snippet interesting. It's great to see that going out, wasn't it? Newly kitted out for its operations. Makes you wonder what that's going to be. Probably Ukraine or something like that, or this new Gaza problem that's starting up. See, this is one of the things I love about London. We're seeing that ship. The impromptu, I was just standing here earlier having a smoke. I'd walked around and got the layout for my filming, and that came along, and I tell you what, that phone never left my pocket so fast. There was burn marks. Yeah. But this is where the old boats would have been drawn up onto and unloaded. I've already filmed inside the pub. That was done last week actually, and I'm actually back in the area now because I wasn't happy with my filmings. I found out a lot more since then and kind of been sent some information. So if at first you don't succeed, try again, as they say. Over there, the remnants of the chapel. The chapel was built in 1846 as a Roman Catholic chapel to serve the local growing Catholic community. Come the 1880s, it was ruins, and it was superseded by St Edmund's, now in Westbury Road. But more of the chapel at the end of the video in our historical segment, because it appears on a map and an old image, so that should be good. There we go. And now we're off to our next location. Just point you down a minute because there's someone here. I'll go this way, it should be okay. Here we are, the Waterman's Arms, originally the Newcastle Arms. So, join me for a little tour around this one. It's one of the oldest surviving buildings in the area, although it's changed inside. Off we go for a tour of this lovely old pub. Hello ladies and gents, and you're looking at a lovely old surviving London pub. The Waterman's Arms was originally the Newcastle Arms, built in 1853 as part of the Cubitt town development. Most of the area, as you can see, a lot of the local area was swept away by the war, but this is a nice old survivor that you can see. There's got this signage up there, look. Waterman's Arms. Such pretties. I do like a nice old London pub, and looking back down the street there, just at the corner there would be where the church is, Christ Church. So, Waterman's Arms, off we go. And in we go. I had to ask permission, so I've got permission for this one. It's been obviously modernised inside, but it's nice that the building has survived. And there's some old pictures and stuff as well. What do you like? That's better. Awesome. So the old naval hospital in the back down there. I like these little old images. Oh, zoom out town. Oh, some more there. William Cubitt, the man who founded Cubitt Town. And when this pub was built, obviously it was called Cubitt Town, and this was originally called the Newcastle Arms, but it's 1850s, so it's an old one for London. We don't need to see the toilets, do we? There's more in the bar. Oh no, that's good. The Great Eastern on the stocks. One of Brunel's ones. If I'm right in thinking, Oh look, that's where the Dan Farson thing comes from. If I'm right in thinking, the Great Eastern was originally to be called the Leviathan, and when they couldn't get out to launch it, basically, some witty person called it the High and Dryathan. Yeah, it was right over it. Sorry, mate. I'm sorry. It's all fireplaces. It's a nice picture. Right, I'll just pause you for a minute. There we are, pint of Heineken, and London Luke is out in the beer garden now, so I shall enjoy my beer and then it'll be off to our next location. And now for our little historical look back. We start with our first location in this one, Newcastle Dock, Cubitt Town, Isle of Dogs, and we see it here on the 24th of March 1935. So just 4 years before the start of the Second World War. As you can see, the little barges all drawn up beside there. That's how it would have been done. They would have been drawn up, unloaded, and then sent back out again with the high tide. So this was a nice image, and you can see the spire of Christchurch as well there, so that's another nice thing to see. A world swept away mostly by the docks and then by the Docklands development of the late 80s and 90s. But as I said about the ruined chapel, or the remnants of the chapel that was there, in 1846 a small chapel was opened in Miety Road named St Edward's Chapel. It served the growing Catholic community on the island. It was superseded in 1874 by St Edmund's Church in West Ferry Road. The chapel building was still standing, albeit in ruins, in the 1880s, and then come the Second World War, those ruins in themselves got bombed as well with everything else, so that's what lost us the chapel. But you see where the circle is, that's where the chapel is, just there, right on the edge of the river really. And I love this image. This is a great image, this one. This is early-ish Victorian era really, and if you look right in the centre, just above the funnel of the steamship, you will see St Edward's Chapel. So that's that there. And this is so early, this image, that Newcastle Dock hadn't been constructed yet. So yeah, I thought I'd like to show this one. Shows the different things that we're about. You've got wire rope works, palm candle works, Hutchinson's Wharf, St Edward's Chapel, Lion Wharf, Sun Iron Works, and then you've got Lolla Wharf. Yeah, it's a little lost world, isn't it, eh? And now, lastly, but most definitely not least, this absolutely fascinating pub, which has got a really interesting history associated with it. Quite a long description, so in a minute I will hand you over to my voiceover person. Here we see some images of it.
In this 1870 map, a public house is shown at the corner of Newcastle Street and Wharf Road. This was the Newcastle Arms, built by William Cubitt as part of his Cubitt Town development, and opened in 1853. In the following 100 or so years, the street name changed from Newcastle Street to Glenganock Avenue to Glenaffick Avenue. And the pub name changed from Newcastle Arms to Waterman's Arms to the Great Eastern, and finally back to the Waterman's Arms, as we see it today. At the end of the 19th century, the Newcastle Arms was advertised as one of the most comfortable public houses on the island, with a fine selection of beverages. Yet there remains very little information about the pub's early years. Nothing of note seems to have happened there at all. In an 1880 trial at the Old Bailey, landlord John Dell stated, "I have a deposit account with the Richard Green Permanent Building Society. I have here my deposit book, which was supplied to me on opening the account, on the 1st of July, 1878. I paid £50 to Thomas Allen at my own house. He was clerk and cashier to the society. The landlord had known and trusted Alan for years, but the money didn't make its way into the building society's accounts. Alan was found guilty and sentenced to 7 years penal servitude. Despite the busy weekends, the Newcastle Arms was also referred to as the pub with no beer in around 1960. When landlord George Langton had insufficient funds to place an order with the brewery after his generous habit of buying all the rounds for friends in other pubs. The Farson years. Things were to change though, and change a lot, when writer and broadcaster Dan Farson became licensee in 1962. Farson, 1927 to 1997, was the son of American journalist James Negley Farson. Prior to World War II, Dan had accompanied his father on an assignment to Germany and was patted on the head by Adolf Hitler, who thought he looked like a good Aryan boy. In his 1997 obituary by the Independent newspaper, the opening paragraph summed him up as mythomaniacal, egotistical, and often unable to tell the truth or the difference between it and fiction. The character of Daniel Farson, photographer, writer, and drunk. He was inspired to run his own pub and create within it an old-style music hall atmosphere, after making a documentary for rediffusion about East End pub entertainment. At a time when he was living at number 92, Narrow Street, in Limehouse. He was fascinated by the local characters and pub culture. Using an inheritance from his parents, Farson purchased the pub and set about making major changes. He started by renaming the pub to the Waterman's Arms, to the consternation of some locals, and hired a husband and wife team to carry out the day-to-day management of the pub. After a major revamp, including creation of a plushly decorated stage with a painted backdrop showing the Royal Naval College in Greenwich, as viewed from Island Gardens a couple of 100 yards up Saunders Ness Road, the Waterman's Arms was ready to do business. It was a hit from the start, with well-known performers appearing on stage, and the rich and famous making their way along Manchester Road to see and be seen. Locals at the time recalled seeing Clint Eastwood, Francis Bacon, a good friend of Farson's, Brian Epstein, journalist Nancy Spain, Judy Garland, Shirley Bassey, and many others.
Well, I hope you all found that interesting so far. Just a little bit more information about some of the famous faces that appeared and whatnot at the Watermans. As you can see, the Waterman's Arms became a popular location for film and television, used as the backdrop for the Long Good Friday and Prospects, The Professionals and others. By the turn of the millennium, the Waterman's Arms was struggling. In 2011, the pub was closed and the brewery owners were looking for someone new to run it. And that's where we find the pub and how we find the pub today, how it looks and still thankfully up and running. And what an interesting history this one had, eh? And just a little something special to end you with. Hopefully we won't get copyrighted for it.